everyone, here we are back, Keto and Crime, and for those of you listening on Thought Crime, welcome. Today we're taking a look at something that is primarily YouTube related, but there's been a lot of things going on about a YouTuber that has literally been around since the beginning. He started his channels around 2004, 2005-ish, and he has literally been around. He had a couple of viral videos, and he's just known in the YouTube circles as the man everyone loves to hate. And we're going to take a look at Onision. Primarily his two run-ins with the legal environment in his tax problems and his damaging of the wetlands in Pierce County, Washington State. So we are going to take a look at that. I'll do a little bit on the stuff that's going on right now, but not a whole lot because he has not been formally indicted or accused from a legal standpoint. A lot of that is still he said, she said, and you can definitely form your own opinion about it. Do I like Onision? I used to watch him when I was younger because, you know, I mean, he's younger than me, but when I first started watching YouTube, he was one of the first ones I found because there wasn't that many. There was him and Shane Dawson and Barthel Fitness, a few other people that I used to watch that were in the early days of YouTube. So yeah, I watched him and I found him mildly entertaining, but do I watch him now? No. Do I think he's a good person? No, not really, and that's my opinion. So Onision, I know you're copyright strike happy or you love to get under people's skin. That's only my opinion. I'm putting that out there, so don't come for me. I will also not be using any clips of any Onision videos. I will only reference them, and then you can go to his channels, which I'll link below, and look them up. So plenty of evidence, video evidence out there of Onision's shenanigans without me having to use them, but I thought I would give you an analysis of what I feel is the heart of this case. So let's get into it. And yes, for those of you that can see me on YouTube, I am still in the truck because we left California yesterday. We're now in Arizona. We're on our way to do some hiking at the Grand Canyon where hopefully I'll shed some of the weight I've lost on this trip. I think I picked up about 10 pounds just from eating crap. But I figure you're only alive once, and I will be getting that off and going back into my struggles. Struggles getting back on keto, resetting my body, and getting back on that keto lifestyle once we're home. So I will address that, and I will keep you in touch. I want to be absolutely honest. Yes, I picked up some weight from eating crap. But let's get into this. Onision, as you see, he has about 6 or 7 channels here on YouTube. I'll go over those in a minute. He's definitely considered one of the OG YouTubers. Definitely been around a long time. He got really popular when a skit comedy sketch of his called I'm a Banana went viral. It was just him in a banana suit with some crazy background singing I'm a Banana. And it actually got picked up by Tosh.0 on Comedy Central, and from there he went absolutely viral. He's collectively got well over 3 million subscribers, definitely up there with the OG YouTubers. Most recently in the news, he's garnered some bad press because several accusations of sexual grooming toward minor girls have come out against both him and his current husband, whose name is Kai. He has a channel called Good Guy Kai, and he was actually underage himself when Onision started dating him. He was an underage girl at the time, and she had a channel called Lanybot that has officially been transitioned to Good Guy Kai, along with her transitioning from female to male. You can't make this shit up, y'all. You can't. In my wildest imagination, I couldn't figure this out. But anyway, so he's currently married to someone who's about 9 to 10 years younger than him. Legally married. They have 2 children. She used to be called Lanybot. She is now transitioning to a gentleman named Kai. They are still together, and I guess what you would call a homosexual relationship. But they're still together. They have 2 kids. They live in Washington State. Kai was underage when Onision first met her at the time because she was female at the time, and he actually had to study state laws, I believe Pennsylvania, to find out if he could legally go and have sex with her when she was under the age of 17. So he has a history of going after younger girls. It hasn't always been that way, though. When he was first married, he was married to a girl Sky, who was absolutely only 1 year younger than her. He called her the love of his life. They had a very nasty divorce, and ever since then he's been going after uniquely young girls. There's been accusations put forth to him by women named Shiloh, one named Billy, most recently a girl named Sarah, who accuses both Onision and Kai of grooming her since she was 14 or 15. They actually became her legal guardians at the age of 16 because she had a bad home life, and has since came out to say that they basically had sex with her and took her virginity after she turned 18 and kind of put her out from that point. So all of this, all you have to do is go to YouTube and type in Onision grooming, and you will find everything you need to know. I don't need to rehash it here, but let's just say there's a whole lot of crap going on. So much that Chris Hansen, remember To Catch a Predator, Chris Hansen, has started investigating it for his YouTube channel, and he has interviewed a lot of people involved in this, including people like Blair White, who actually interviewed Sarah, the latest accuser, about what happened, and so all that's blowing up. So we'll have to wait and see if any legal ramifications will come from this. I doubt it. I'm sure statute of limitations have long since passed, but there seems to be an ongoing hunt to expose him for this, and it is going on. Like I said, just Google it. You'll find everything you need to know. He also got into trouble over the last few years on picking on Eugenia Cooney, who is a YouTuber with a eating disorder, anorexia, who was wasting away to nothing. Greg would make very bad, Greg is Onision's real name, he would make very bad, scathing videos about her, making fun of her eating disorder, telling her she was weak. So he got into a lot of trouble with that, and he promised several times, I won't make any more videos on Eugenia Cooney, but then would come right back and do it. And then in 2018, he actually critiqued a African-American hair and makeup channel. She simply just vlogged her daily hair routine or weekly hair routine, and he basically called her hair a frizzy mess and that he could do it better, and basically schooled her on how to do her hair, schooled African Americans on how to do their own hair. Now, he's whiter than me, so unless he's been a hairstylist, I don't see how he has that knowledge, but unless he's just into weird reading about stuff. So anyway, those are the scandals of Onision, and like I said, you can find all this. Some big YouTubers have already done videos on him. Jacqueline Glenn and Mr. Repsion, or Repsion as he's now called. These are YouTubers I've watched for many years because I'm an atheist, and they were some of the OGs of the atheist community, so I watched them quite a bit. They've had run-ins with Onision. They've made a lot of videos, and that's another thing. Onision has made a lot of enemies in the YouTube sphere. Jacqueline Glenn, Repsion, Social Repose, just a bunch of big YouTubers that he's actually were once friends with, collabed with, and then they had a falling out, and it's been vicious ever since. So you'll find lots of videos put out by Jacqueline Glenn, Repsion, Repzilla. Lots of people have done videos on the sexual grooming aspects and other things that have gone on with Mr. Onision. But let's get into the background and get into his actual legal troubles, that is, with actually having to go to court, possibly facing fines and jail time. Gregory Daniel Jackson, we know, was born in and around Washington State, November 11th, 1985. He was raised in a rural farm setting, which he's actually commented on several times, that he grew up working with animals, and that's why he's a vegetarian and a environmentalist. He was raised strict religious in a Seventh-day Adventist church, which led him to become an atheist. He talks about a lot of this in the 3 books that he's written. If you're actually so inclined to dive into that madness, you can go to Amazon and just Google Onision, and you will find the 3 books he's written. I've read one of them. This Is Why I Hate You is the title of it. I couldn't make any sense of it, and I'm actually a published ghostwriter myself. I really couldn't make any sense of it, but maybe I just wasn't on that, that mindset you need to be to understand it. And you can also, if you're interested in what those books actually contain, plenty of people have done book reviews on them. Repsion, there's a few others. Just Google it here on YouTube. You'll find all the information that you need. But he was raised in Washington State, joined the Air Force, served in Korea, being honorably discharged in 2008. So thank you for your service, I guess. Anyway, let's get into the actual legal troubles he's had. To get into Onision's tax problems, which was the first actual legal scandal he got into, we have to understand his channels and revenue. At present, he has 6 active channels on YouTube, and you can find these very easily. Just type in his name. His first and original channel, Onision, has 2 million subscribers. That's down from a height of about 4 million, I believe, because he has lost a lot of subscribers since a lot of these scandals started to break. But on this channel, it's his original comedy skits. You'll see some of the Eugene Acuni content there, some of his responses to reaction channels reacting to him. You'll find all of his original content as well as content associated with that on this channel. It's the OG channel. He also has another channel called Uh-Oh Bro, which has about 2 million. This is the one that I found him on. In this, he actually dresses kind of an emu or goth, because he had a character on Onision's channel called, on the original Onision channel called Emu Charlie. So he would dress in kind of emu-esque dark. Sometimes he'd have the face paint on, look very much like Heath Ledger's Joker. And he would dress up on this channel, and this was mainly a reaction style channel where he pulls stuff off the internet and react to it. Also, his millions of fans on Twitter would send him pictures of their body, mainly underage girls, would send him pictures of them and want him to critique their body, and he would kind of do it in a very cruel way. But all of this was on Uh-Oh Bro, and like I said, I found some of his reactions humorous. That's how I found him, and that led me into the rest of it. He has another channel, Onision Speaks, which is just basically a commentary and blog channel of his where he talks about whatever he wants to talk about. It has 1.6 million subscribers. He has the Onision Archive, which are re-uploads of videos that have perhaps been removed from any of the other channels. It has about 500,000 subscribers. He has Onision Encore, which is outtakes and playoff sequels to videos on the other channels at 162,000. And then he has Oni-chan, which is actually, this has about 48,000 subscribers. This is actually kind of videos related to the religion he tried to start. Yes, he tried to start a religion. Again, Google it. From a place where basically he wanted people to worship him. He didn't even espouse a higher power. It was all about him. And so this channel has a lot of those videos on it. You again, can't make this shit up. Anyway, here's his channels. He gets collectively about 3 billion views, or close to 3 billion views a year. He's probably gotten well over 20 billion views in his lifetime. And as a result, for a long time, YouTube was his only source of revenue, and he made well into the high 6 figures, if not 7 figures, with just YouTube AdSense, sponsorships, everything that comes along with a YouTube celebrityism. So keep that in mind. He has a net worth of well over $2 million. Alright, as I said, he had many years of making well into the high 6 figures, into the 7 figures. Now that in itself does not make you a millionaire. What makes you a millionaire, per Dave Ramsey, who I listen to, is the fact that your net worth, that is everything that you own of value, cash, property, vehicles, computer, whatever you own that has value, minus your debt, whatever you're left with is your net worth, and it's that would make you a millionaire. Well, he's made probably, I'm going to gander, he's probably made about $7 to $8 million in his lifetime on YouTube. He'll probably dispute that, but knowing how YouTube pays, and especially in the early days, before the apocalypse and the Google AdSense partnership program had just come into effect, a lot of people made a lot of money. So I'm going to gander he's made about $7 to $8 million in total on YouTube for the 13 years he's been active on it. 13 to 15 years he's been active. And out of that, it is estimated, like I said, we only have estimations, that his net worth at the time this happened was a little over $2 million, and that probably included a house. We know he had 2 Teslas, because he actually had one for business and one for private, a Tesla, really. So he had to have a brand new structure, a brand new house with the electrical capacity to handle 2 Teslas, as well as a ton of professional recording equipment, all that stuff. So with all that plus cash he had in the bank, he had a net worth of well over $2 million during the time this happened. 2017, he received a letter from the IRS saying he was being audited for tax years 2014, 2015, 2016. And he immediately took to YouTube to complain about it. He said that it was all TurboTax's fault, that he filled his taxes out using TurboTax. Now, for those that don't know, TurboTax is a software. You can either go buy it and download it and put it on your computer, or you can go to their online system and do it. It's owned by QuickBooks. It's just a software for inputting numbers. And so his excuse was that TurboTax told him that everything he put in was kosher by giving him that green arrow, and that he did it until his entire tax turned green, and they even told him on the last screen that his chances of audit was low, and that because of all this, it was TurboTax's fault that he inputted the wrong numbers into TurboTax. Okay, Greg. Right. Basically, the dispute with the IRS was over being very generous with deductions. He was deducting his house in full every year, which IRS tax says that you can deduct a certain percentage of it the first year you own it, the second year, third year, and so on. He was deducting, according to what I've heard, allegedly, he was deducting the full value or full amount of payments he was making on the house every year in full, instead of dividing it into the percentage that you're supposed to divide it to take your deductions. And probably, if that had been his only mistake, the IRS would have forgiven that and just said, hey, pay this when you can. But it didn't stop there. He was also deducting in full for his computer equipment for work. He deducted both Teslas. He deducted hundreds of thousands of dollars in business dinners and business lunches. He also deducted the divorce he went through with Sky in 2014, 2015. Like the full cost of attorneys and everything. He even was deducting the $1,000 a month in alimony he has been paying his ex-wife all these years. Wedding rings when he got married to Lainey Bott, now Kai. All of this stuff that most normal people wouldn't deduct. So, like I said, TurboTax is just taking you screen to screen, and he was inputting all this stuff. It doesn't audit that for what it is. It just takes the amount, it puts it in, and tells you you're good to go. So that's what he's contending, that all of this was TurboTax's fault. Well, they audited him in 2007, which included a walkthrough of his house, in which they told him he could maybe only claim one room as a home office, because he was deducting the whole house by saying he filmed and took selfies and stuff in the entire house, and so he could deduct the entire house. Well, the power and such, and they're like, no, you can only deduct, because it's a 30-year mortgage, you can only deduct your interest that you pay that year, plus a percentage of the house every year. Well, he was deducting the whole house. And how that works is if you work from home, like I work from home, I can take the room that I primarily use to work in, as long as it's not used for any other function, and I can deduct the utilities and things taken from that room. So I'd have to add up my utility bills for the year, take the square footage of that house, do the math of that room, do the math, and that's what I could deduct in addition to the mortgage interest that I paid, and in some cases your state taxes. Well, he was doing all that 2 or 3-fold, and they called him on it. Again, if that had been his only mistake, probably would have been okay, but then when you add in like tons of new computers, cameras, even though he might have made a video on them, unless they are specifically for that use, and at least 95% of what they do is for your work, you cannot deduct it. So he was, and then 2 Teslas, don't even get me started on that, a divorce, alimony. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So bear in mind, when it all came down, he owed over $600,000 in back taxes. He did work out a payment plan with the IRS, which included him having to sell their house, which I believe was valued at about $700,000 at the time. So he had to sell their house, pay off a huge chunk of that bill with the equity in it, and the rest he put on a payment plan, and I believe he's still paying that today. But he tried to ask his viewers for help. He set up a GoFundMe. He asked people to contribute to his Patreon. About this time, the first adpocalypse hit, and he lost a lot of his monetization because of the content of his videos. So he was hurting. Which all of this resulted in him having to downsize his life tremendously. He then moved from King County, Washington, the Seattle-Tacoma area, to Pierce County, Washington, into a rural area, and bought a much smaller house and started doing landscaping around the yard as you would. However, he did not read the law or understand, I guess, what the realtor told him, and didn't realize that his land backed up to state wetlands, which are very important to preserve for the environment, and he ended up cutting down trees, filling up water, dumping stuff in the wetlands, just doing a bunch of different stuff. And his neighbors, who they said were unaware of who he even was, actually reported him to Pierce County, Washington. Well, he got inspected. They told him all the things he was doing wrong and what he had to do to fix it. They also fined him for it. Well, of course, Onision went to YouTube, begged for more money, and also started a GoFundMe, which was reported to Pierce County, and they shut that shit down. So he, along with the payment plan that he had to make to the IRS after he paid off a chunk of it with the funds from his house, now he has a new mortgage, and now he's been fined by Pierce County, Washington, not to mention having to undo everything that he did, including planting new trees and redigging out the wetlands. So he's done some foolish things, and he's hurting for it. And so pretty much now he's near bankruptcy. I would say he's probably no longer has a net worth of over $2 million. I'd say he probably has what little equity he has in his house and whatever money he has in the bank, because he did have to sell the bigger house. Probably sold at least one, maybe both of the Teslas, because I doubt the smaller house he bought has the electrical grid for that. So he's lost a lot. He really has. And as a result, he's got fines to both the IRS and the state of Washington for what he did. And now he has these newest allegations of sexual grooming going on. So, like I said, those are only allegations. We don't know yet if that will play out in a court of law. It still could. But I'm sure we'll see more from Mr. Onision. He's probably not giving up his YouTube career. I'm pretty sure that's still his main source of income, even though his Google AdSense has been throttled down to estimations of about 1/10 of what it used to be. I would say he's probably making a $40,000 or $50,000 a year income from YouTube AdSense or Google AdSense. His Patreon probably nets him another $30,000 or $40,000. So I'd say he's probably around $100,000 a year income, which seems like a lot to me, but maybe not in the state of Washington, and maybe when you're accustomed to having a 7-figure lifestyle. But he also has proceeds from his books, so I'm sure he's doing okay, but probably has been taken down a notch or two. But anyway, that's the story of Onision's actual legal problems. Again, we're not talking about the allegations going on now, but if you're interested in those, definitely do a search. You'll find everything that you want to know. If those do end up actually resulting in a charge, a trial, or anything, of course I will cover it, because at that point it would be true crime and not just gossip. But I wanted to bring this to you, his actual legal problems. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back soon with another video. I've got a great video on the gangster mayor of Detroit coming up, as well as, not the current mayor, past mayor. And I've got my video on the Romanovs coming up real soon, as well as my comedy video from Los Angeles. So I hope you'll be looking forward to all those. I'll see you real soon. Ketosis, y'all. Keto Comic, Tracy Barkley.